Hi, my name is Joyce Boson. Many of you know me from Trauma Recovery Yoga, and that was founded because I experienced my first traumatic grief in 2012 when my son, who was in the Navy, was in a horrible accident that took his life. And today, that was in 2012. Then my mom passed after a long battle with Parkinson's in 2015. Then my children's father died 4 years ago this Sunday on March 1st from a long battle, actually kind of a short battle with cancer. And most recently, my eldest son, Joshua, died a year ago, November 26th, from a fentanyl overdose. So my experience with trauma and supporting people and offering people tools in trauma really do translate to all of this grief. And grief and trauma can happen simultaneously, and then sometimes it's just grief. So I've learned a lot, and my slogan for Trauma Recovery Yoga, or my catchphrase, was turning loss into blessings. And ironically, that was about trauma, but now I've got all this complex and grief, multiple grief. And I find the same tools translate to support me in grief. So if you are grieving, if you've experienced grief in the past, you understand that it affects all aspects of your life, from eating, sleeping, socializing, your work, the way your body feels. And it feels like you're carrying something. For me, it literally, more than once, I've experienced it, that it felt like my heart was like a stone, just really heavy and hard in my chest, and really experienced that pain. And now, as I continue to use the tools that I created for trauma recovery, I also find they translate, and I've begun to take on, educating myself through workshops and experts and books, and attending grief seminars and grief groups on my own, to kind of hone my skills for myself once again, to help me through my grief. And again, just like with Trauma Recovery Yoga, which was created to help me help myself, this grief tools that I'm learning, I feel like I'm compelled to share, and just remind people. And you may have heard me say it before, that grief, what I've noticed is that it isn't about getting over, through, around, or learning to live and cope with it, as much as it is adapting to it and learning how to carry it so it doesn't overtake us, kind of run every thought in our mind. And I can tell you a lot of examples of how I've built some tools, and I just really want to share them with you. But I want to share a short little story. My friend Randy Bernstein told me a long time ago, when Jacob died in 2012, on November 26th, ironically the same date that Joshua died a year ago. She said that grief is like you're, walking through life, and suddenly you're pinned to the ground by weight. So just imagine like a backpack on you, and then just like an anvil or a bunch of bricks landing in it, and then you're just pinned on the ground, on your belly, like splayed out. And with a little time, you can learn to put your hands underneath you, maybe bring your knees a little more underneath you, and eventually maybe your arms are straighter and you're in kind of a crawling position. You learn to crawl and adapt a little bit more, and with more time and more resources and support, you can find yourself more on your feet. And then pretty soon, or eventually, maybe it doesn't feel like soon because it is a process, but with time and persistence and practicing with resources, you can find yourself on your feet, and you maybe no longer notice the weight of the backpack because you've adapted. The grief is still there. It's just not pinning you to the ground anymore. And that's what I want to help people find. So I hope that maybe you're interested in this too, or maybe it's not for you, but for someone you care about that you may see really pinned to the ground by their grief experience. I'm teaming up with Dr. Leah Kaler, who's amazing, and she's a psychologist and behavioral psychologist who specializes and has been working with the FBI and privately with first responders to help them find sleep after all of the vicarious trauma and, direct trauma and grief that they experience. So she's going to share what she tools and a yin yoga practice that's all levels, don't worry, to a restorative yoga practice, actually, to help people find rest. And I'm going to share some things I know about grief that have helped me and helped other people, and give you some regulation techniques that you can use when those feelings overwhelm you, or even when you're in a calm state. So first off, we got to regulate your nervous system and find you in the present moment, not regretting the past, not fretting the future, because it's natural to think once one bad thing happens, more will. But we can recover from that. Anyway, I hope you'll join us. It's going to be at Sin City Yoga in Las Vegas on March 29th, and me and Dr. Kaler plan on putting on something pretty special. It's just 4 hours long. Like I said, you get to practice a beautiful restorative practice and learn some techniques for both sleep, so rest, and regulation. I hope you'll join us.